All right, welcome back to the Adding to the Flame podcast with Max and Gabe. We have a special guest on today. His name's Tim. How are you doing today, Tim?
Hello, everybody. I'm just hanging out.
All right. Well, this episode is one of the most talked about episodes we've had. I know a lot of people are anticipating this.
Yep.
So I guess we'll dive right into it.
Yep.
Tim, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, if everybody really wants to know the truth, all they have to do is go down Main Street on a Tuesday and explain to me why only 20 houses
Tim,
out
talk
of
a little louder.
20 houses out of 200, why only 20 of them have garbage out front.
Oh, yeah?
There's no garbage. And yes, I've went around back in the alleys to see if they have special pickup for their trash. No, there's not.
Now, what do you think?
What
What's
are you
up with
thinking?
that?
Yeah.
Well, you got to figure this. Quincy sits on the largest underground cavern facility in the world. But you never hear anybody ever mention it other than the beer and the meat lockers. I mean, has anybody known anybody that works down there? And if they do, only the first quarter mile is occupied. Why is there other 25 miles not occupied by anybody?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I mean, so what are you saying that there could be a bigger problem here? You know, maybe just it could be weird activity, or are you thinking there's a bigger ordeal that's going down?
I think it's a bigger ordeal.
Oh, yeah?
Because you got to figure this. Quincy's no different than any other city. Why is it that 1/3 of Quincy is occupied by millionaires and millionaire houses? And if so, where do they live? I mean, where do they work that they all just happen to migrate to Quincy?
Oh, yeah?
Better yet, the $1 million houses that line Quincy from, let's say, you might as well say 14th Street all the way down to 30th. How come the majority of those houses you never see anybody go in, come out? And for the majority of them, you hardly ever see any lights on in the house. Are millionaires different than us? Do they not require light to see?
You know, he's got a point.
He's got a point, man.
I think
I don't know.
Right.
all humans need a light to see.
All humans,
That's
yes.
for sure.
Yes.
So, what do you think about all this? Like, what are you concluding to about this?
Well, this is probably going to get me in a whole bunch of trouble and probably all of us killed. But I'm fairly sure that Quincy is at least have an abundance population of vampires.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Quincy is full of vampires.
He's got his story. He's got the evidence behind it.
He's got an alibi.
Yeah, he does have an alibi. Real question is, will they come out?
Well, about a year and a half ago, I mentioned on Facebook 5 places that I knew where they were. All 5 places were within 3 months were torn to the ground. Not only torn to the ground, but every brick of every building was taken away.
So it was completely demolished.
All the way. Just like there on Broadway, where the Burger King is on 6th Street.
Mm-hmm.
All right, remember there used to be an old white house that was like next door, but kind of like towards the back of that building.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
There was nothing wrong with that house.
Yeah.
Nothing. But after I said that, they tore that house down all the way to where they dug a 6-foot hole in the ground to make sure they took every inch of that building the concrete foundation with them. Why would you do that? Why would you, if you're going to tear down a building, why would you give a rat's ass that there's nothing part of the foundation? They don't do that when they're tearing down other houses around Quincy. Nope. It's like to prove a point.
So,
remember the building that they tore down, the lawyer's office over there? It was across the street from the courthouse, where they found the Indian bodies.
I don't remember this.
Okay. Well, in the middle of after they tore down the building, and they took every bit of that building's foundation, 15 feet in the ground, to make sure they got it all. Before they even started any of that demolition, the county coroner shows up and says they've discovered human remains. Oh, yeah? They hadn't even started digging yet. And this guy had it all roped out already in Don Heck's back parking lot where the Indian bodies were discovered. They hadn't even started digging.
So you think he was the one that put him there?
Let's put it this way. The county coroner and a bunch of other people dug up all these Indian bones. Oh, yeah? Since when did Indians have fillings in their teeth? Because one of the ambulance drivers, he said those weren't Indian bones. Some of them had fillings in their teeth. I don't think Indians had fillings.
Well, to be honest, I don't know too much about Native American culture, so.
But I don't think they're.
I don't think they had.
I don't think they're
fillings.
dental.
Yeah, I don't think they worried too much about their dental.
No. Then when they did tear down the building, guess what they found in the basement?
What did they find in the basement?
3 stolen cars from 25 years ago that were not only stolen, they were compacted into squares.
I think they were either hiding something, like definitely trying to keep that so that nobody would find them.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of shift the mood here, make it a little bit more light, I was wondering, do you think that these vampires are dangerous?
Do I think they stalk people like Bela Lugosi and Dracula? No. Why would they have to? They've got the soldiers and sailors home, all those old soldiers. Guess what? Take a siphon off a pint here and a pint there. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to care. And guess what? There's an awful lot of, if you look in the newspaper, there's an awful lot of deaths out there. One, where do these, once somebody dies, where do they got a list of new veterans,
In the obituary?
Well, I mean, they go out there to the soldiers and sailors home and take their place. Guess what?
What?
Those people can disappear. They can die and disappear off this planet. Most of them, nobody's going to care.
What about their families?
Who said they have families? Some of them do, some of them don't.
So do you think that the vampires pick out the ones that don't have families?
I think they're probably using that facility as a blood bank.
Feeding ground?
Sure. I don't think...
They probably sneak in at night when they're asleep, don't they?
Nope. I think they have the nurses or somebody drain the blood off of them.
Well, another question I had was, do you think that these vampires are rich?
Yeah.
How? How'd they get their money?
Accumulated wealth. Well, you got to figure... If you lived, let's say, average vampire's age, probably about 200 or 300. If you lived 200 or 300 years, guess what?
What?
You'd probably acquire items.
You got a point there.
Right. If nothing else, you would probably be really, really good at choosing the stock market. Because over time, you're going to sit there and watch the stock market from the time it began till now. Guess what? You would probably be a pretty good judge at what's gonna go and what's not.
I mean, they say history repeats themselves. I don't know why they wouldn't use that to their advantage.
Sure, I do. But then again, I think, do I think everybody's in league with the vampires? No, I don't. Just like when I was talking at work last night, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, he came up with some of the best inventions of the 20th century. The house where Nikola Tesla lived, the building where he did all these experiments, and there's not nothing left, not a brick. Thomas Edison, well, let's see here. They have his childhood home, his adult home, the school that he went to, and just about any object that he touched, guess what? It's in a museum. Nikola Tesla?
There's nothing.
Nothing. And if you figure out after the World Fair, after he turned on the Tesla coil, nobody's ever seen that Tesla coil ever since. Like the blueprints, you go online, and you see, well, this is what the Tesla. That's an interpretation. The originals that were did by him, they're all gone. Every scrap of everything he did is gone. All of it.
So you think Nikola Tesla is directly related to vampires?
No, I think...
You think the vampires took his things?
No, I think the government did. Because when he turned it on and for 20 blocks, everything that needed electricity started working without being plugged in. Now, Nikola Tesla, he'd never turned the thing on that volume of that size of coil before. Before, they were little smaller coils that he did in the lab.
Yeah.
That one was a large one. And something happened that he didn't expect, and there was no way that he did. Except a lot of things he said changed after that, because Nikola Tesla realized what had happened. When they turned on the Tesla coil and electricity started going to electric objects without being plugged in, it also caused a rip in time. That's why the U.S. government took every bit of that from that point on. After the World's Fair, they took that and everything to do with him.
So you're saying that Nikola Tesla, his technology, made a rip in time, which could have brought vampires back to us?
No. Vampires are here. They're...
That's just that.
Right.
That's just that?
Right. What the Tesla coil did was give the U.S. government the ability and a way to, if something happened, they could send somebody back through time to stop it. Now, you say, well, who would they send? Well, there you go. Who would you send to go back through time when you needed something done and you were only going to get one shot at fixing this? Or would say, Germany really does win the war.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you send?
I'm guessing a vampire.
Yeah.
No.
I'm lost then.
You
Who did he send?
You would send a Navy SEAL. That's why, I don't know, a few years ago, when a guy was doing research, on dead Navy SEALs, he was going to do a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He inadvertently discovered one thing. A lot of dead Navy SEALs' coffins are empty.
He dug them up?
No, he scanned them. Like
kind of like a metal detector kind of thing.
Right, and it,
All right,
I
I understand.
Sonic thing, right?
Yeah.
So he started going over all the graves of all the Navy SEALs that's ever been and died. 2,500 of them's not there.
There's 2,500 Navy SEALs that are dead?
Right, they're gone. They're not there.
The body's just gone?
They send them back through time. They can't come back. They can't, they can't bring them back.
How far back?
Who knows? Who knows what's actually happened? You got to figure this. If 2,500 Navy SEALs aren't in their coffins.
That's a lot of Navy SEALs, man.
But I mean, if you were going to send somebody back through time, that something was going to happen so bad that you had one shot to fix it, who would you send? A Navy SEAL.
That's right.
That's right.
Right. Here's a guy that's trained better than any other soldier on Earth, that's better equipped, better physical ability than any soldier on Earth. Russian Spaznas, any of them. Why? Because I think they realized a long time ago, because before there were Navy SEALs, there were Green Berets.
Well, there still are Green Berets.
Right. But that's where it started. These guys, they needed people that weren't normal physical ability people that were going to get the job done, even if they had to die doing it, wouldn't bother them. That's who you would send.
That's
time
right.
and time again.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And even more, the guy that did it, once he figured that's what they were doing, okay, so bad stuff happens, you've got to send somebody back through time to stop it. All right, since you're Navy SEALs, well, guess what? If you weren't sending them back that far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They wouldn't have to die. So sometimes they would get to come back. Well, in the first Desert Storm, on live TV, one of the anchormen said something that he regretted because he wasn't a major NBC News anchor after that. They got rid of him because he noticed one thing.
There's more than one person of the same person?
No. What it was when they first flew over Iraq, in the first Desert Storm,
Mm-hmm.
Did you all ever see any videos or pictures of that?
Not a ton, but I know our coworker John, he was in the Navy during Desert
Right.
Storm.
Okay. On live TV, they were showing how, because there was a bunch of news people in Iraq. They were there in the capital, they didn't realize what the United States was
In
going to do.
Baghdad? Or is that Afghanistan?
Yeah, Baghdad.
That might be Afghanistan. I'm not sure on that one.
Right. No, it's Baghdad. So when the invasion, they first started, the stealth planes and all that,
Yeah.
there was cameras videotaping all, and then the whole sky lit up with anti-aircraft flak. The whole sky. I mean, Baghdad was filled with anti-aircraft because they knew it was possibly coming. They didn't think it was going to happen like it did, but the whole sky. And the anchorman said, look how the planes are maneuvering around the anti-aircraft flak. When people started looking at it,
Yeah.
you can tell that the planes are moving before the flak. So how would they do that?
Without knowing that it was...
They sent Navy SEALs back to move the planes before the...
Or they fucking sent them back with some sort of ability to fucking, record or somehow all the anti-aircraft guns. Because, you got to figure this. When they very first did Desert Storm,
Yeah.
they didn't lose a fucking plane.
Not one?
How do you get that on? How do you invade a major city? And this guy had the third largest standing army on Earth.
And we did it without losing a single plane.
A single fucking plane.
They would have had to known how the hell.
They would have had to have known.
Right. They'd have fucking. That's how none of them got hit. No, it wasn't the stealth technology. Stealth technology doesn't mean a fucking thing when the whole sky is filled with fucking flying shrapnel. You've got to know where to turn to avoid it. How would they have done that? Oh my God.
There's Tim's ringtone.
More telemarketers trying to sell me. They're trying to sell me one of those life alert things that hang around your neck. I told the lady, I said, bitch, I ain't falling down and I can't get up. I can't get up. But that's what they did. They sent Navy SEALs somehow back through time with a way to do that because they realized they were probably in the first real encounter. The United States probably lost every fucking plane that they flew over there because the whole sky was filled with anti-aircraft flak. I mean, it was. I mean, the whole fucking sky was filled. But if you knew that a second time and there was some way to record it to where you knew exactly where and when, you would be able to do just like they did. They weaved around it.
Yeah.
Without losing I mean, you got to figure, just like I said, they attacked the third largest standing army on Earth and didn't lose a plane. How do you do that?
All right, I'm going to jump it back a little bit because I'm a little confused. So
Right.
you said that when Tesla made that large coil
Right,
at the World's Fair,
right,
it put a rip in time.
right.
So where does that rip end? Like, where's the other side of that rip? At what point did we realize that? And
I think they realized somehow that it tore a hole through time. Now, Thomas Edison, or Einstein put it all on paper and mathematically showed you how time travel was possible. I mean, he had it down.
so when do we figure out time traveling? Like, when do you think we first started?
Do you think we like
Traveling back in
experimented
time.
it? Do you think they thought maybe this
Sure.
could be a thing and we
Well,
just tried
I
it?
mean, you got to figure, once they realized what this thing could do, you had Thomas Edison and Einstein and Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. Those are three great minds.
Right. I mean, three of the geniuses that, basically formed a whole lot of what we do and what we know.
A lot of modern America.
Right. If you had all three of those together, they probably figured out how to work it. I mean, originally, I think when he turned it on and it tore a rip through time, probably some poor bastard in a horse-drawn carriage went into the thing and never came back.
Yeah.
Who knows how many people disappeared into the void.
Probably took a lot of tries to even get this right.
But back then there weren't like computers and records
Right.
and cameras really. I mean, there was cameras, but like not like we have today. So nobody would know when people disappeared like that.
If they were smart enough to hide it, they probably knew that they should probably keep this until they grew up. And then when we really grew our technology, they probably figured out, hey, we can use this for our
No,
advantage.
you had Einstein that already figured out time travel was possible. I mean, he had the calculation. I mean, you can go on YouTube and they'll show you him writing it down on the board. And he's writing it down on the board and he's talking to you in the video.
Is he talking in German or is he talking in English?
English. And he's telling you, as he's writing all the calculations down on the thing, sure, time travel's possible. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to conceive. But he said it's not that hard to conceive, but it's harder to achieve.
That makes sense.
Right. Well, okay. When they had the device that caused a time rip, you had three of the smartest men on Earth that there ever was. And believe me, I'm pretty sure that they figured out how to work it.
So you're thinking around World War II time is when we figured out how to time travel?
Sure. And I don't think, you got to figure this much. Germany wiped out a third of the world's armies all by itself.
Well, they had Japan and some other allies.
Right.
But
Without too much trouble.
Italy.
Then all of a sudden, the United States gets involved in England, and then it slowly goes to shit. And then, but even worse than that, you got to figure the last 2 years of the war, is when almost every battle that they had didn't go their way. Well, okay, you've got guys that conquered 1/3 of the earth without no problem. Last 2 years, they started losing every time they dealt.
So you don't think it's because how strong the U.S. Army was going in there? You think it was because we were using time travel?
And we knew that how it was going to turn out. So we figured out their plays.
And that's what you believe?
Sure. I mean, you got to figure this much. They, when everything started to collapse and, Hitler killed himself and burned himself and all that stuff. But the Russians that took the bones, when you look at the KGB files on it, they'll tell you that those bones ain't Adolf Hitler's. Yeah. They don't know who it is, but it's not him.
Yeah, I've heard about that before.
I've heard about even like some of the DNA they got was like from a girl. Like
right, it wasn't him. Then you got to figure that the somehow or another he wound up in a South American city.
I thought it was in Argentina, right?
Yeah,
in Argentina.
He wound up in Argentina. Okay, well I'll tell you what, the Germans found different things of a different nature, not time travel, but Hitler was, obsessed with the occult, and that he, they were monkeying around with all them pyramids. Well, guess what?
What?
The pyramids weren't built by the fucking Egyptians, for damn sure. Why? How do we know that? Because there's pyramids in the fucking up in the North Pole. That's how they found, just like last year. Okay, they found a pyramid on the North Pole. The president, the vice president, and a few...
Are you talking Joe Biden, or are you talking...
Osama, or...
Obama's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, or... You got me mixed up, man.
Yeah.
That's Joe Biden.
Yeah. Yeah, the president and the vice president, a few other people all show up in the North Pole to see this. I mean, that's what the official version was. We wanted to see what they'd found. Bullshit. The president, the vice president, a bunch of other important people want to go up there all of a sudden and see what they found.
They're scoping that thing out, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there still are. I mean, that's why, like if you go on Google Earth in North Pole and watch what you see.
Think you'll see some sketchy stuff?
It's blacked out.
Oh.
There's a bunch of North Pole you're not going to see on no Google satellite.
I think not even Google can touch that place.
Right. I mean, just like when you go on YouTube, there's 5 places that Google Earth doesn't, it's not going to take you to.
So I have a question. A lot of people think that Mark Zuckerberg is one of the most important people on the planet, right, and he's involved in a lot of stuff. Do you think he comes anywhere into this?
Sure.
Where at? Like, what connects Mark Zuckerberg to this?
Same way Bill Gates. Genius people always find their niche in time. Always. This is like Bill Gates. Bill Gates still owns to this day 97% of the computer patents for computer technology.
That's right.
And then you got to figure we've only got 3 or 4 months until he said all the computer that we know, all that's about to flip, because he came up with this new thing called the flow.
What's the flow? To me right now it kind of sounds like it's the Force in Star Wars.
Yeah.
What he says is the computer technology that he invented and that the whole world uses is so cripplingly slow that it drove him insane until he figured out a new way. Bill Gates is not going to has yet to say exactly how the flow operates, but he said as soon as they do it, everything in society will flip over 100%.
So you think they'll all jump to the flow instead of keeping what we have now?
They're going to have to.
We won't be able to keep up.
Whenever they start this flow, whatever the flow is, it's so much quicker and so much different than what the computer industry is now. It's probably, you might as well say, a crayon to a laptop.
That's a
kinda-
significant
yeah.
difference, man.
That's kind of scary.
Right, and that was his own words. The guy says, well, how different is it going to be? And he said, from a crayon to a laptop.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, let's put it this way. When Bill Gates says that something's going to go down, something's going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, here, he's, at one time was the richest guy on earth. All these 97% of the computer patents he invented, all that stuff. He was doing, like, all the computer programs and all that stuff that they use now. Yeah, he thought that 25 years ago. So what is, he's had 25 years to develop ideas and everything. His thinking is probably so far-fetched than ours. I mean, you got to figure, what is Bill Gates, when Bill Gates wakes up in the morning, what does he think about?
He thinks about how he's about to blow money that day.
I mean, I don't think he even thinks about money anymore. I mean...
Oh, I'm sure. I mean,
Right,
he's got way too much of it.
Right, I mean, what they say he's worth, like 50 or 60 billion. 50 or 60 billion dollars.
I think it's higher than that.
Yeah, I think maybe 600 billion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But he probably didn't even think on a scale like normal. Like when we wake up, okay, let's get something to eat, smoke a cigarette, and get ready for work. I don't think he even fathoms that.
Oh, no, he does not.
No, because one, he doesn't have to worry about work because he invented work. He probably whatever housemaid's gonna make the meal, and they already know what he wants because pretty sure he's got it all planned out. You can bet that one. But his thinking is so different than a normal person's. This is why I'm saying this. Probably the thoughts of our regular humans' thoughts and the thoughts of a vampire are probably so far-fetched. I mean, if you lived hundreds of years already, you're not required to speak, because I've already seen them at least one time in Hy-Vee and two different occasions at Walmart where they initiate conversations to people just to get the person's reaction. Why? Because amongst themselves they don't require speech.
Because they're telepathic is what you told me one time, right?
Yeah, they're telepathic. They don't require it. That's why they go into stores and they initiate conversations. It's not that they want to fucking hear your answer, because when the guy, the first time I was at Walmart, when this guy and this lady, and they looked like they were in their 40s or 50s, this guy was reading what he was saying to the guy off a fucking piece of paper written down. And after he did it, he looked at the guy, waited for the guy's response, and him and the lady walked off. They had a whole fucking cart full of shit that was was still in the cart. They walked off because they needed to see the guy's response for what they had said. Why? Because amongst themselves they don't require speech. They're telepathic. So if you never had to speak for hundreds of years, you would have to every once in a while smooch up to the humans and initiate conversation to see if what you're saying verbally
makes sense.
Right, that it doesn't sound so fucking crazy that, who knows what their real voice, if they haven't used it in a couple hundred years, they don't know what they sound like. If they don't speak amongst themselves, they would know what they're saying sounds right, or it's too loud or too low.
Yeah.
That's why they go into stores and initiate conversations and leave. The second time I seen him do it, it was at Hy-Vee there by our work, Panera's.
Yeah.
This guy and this lady were having a conversation with one of the store clerks, right?
Right.
And they had some odds and ends. After they said what they said, they both looked at him like he was a lab rat. I mean, they looked at him that hard to get his response, and then they walked off and left the fucking cart and everything. That's why the fucking guy was looking at the other workers, and he was looking at me, and he said, "What the fuck was that about?" I didn't tell him what it was about, because I was too busy turning around, seeing where they were in the aisle, and, if they looked back. They didn't.
So do you think this is like a predator-prey type thing, where they're trying to learn how their prey kind of acts, try to get more comfortable with them so that they can get into them?
No, I think they require it to get a certain... I don't think it's predator and prey. I think it's somehow or another they want to make sure that they blend in.
Don't want to seem too obvious.
Right. I mean, so that's why they practice speech patterns, conversations with people, and then, that's it. Now you would say, well, why do they have to do it in person? Why couldn't they just do it over a phone, telemarketing and shit like that? I'm not sure that they don't, but they want to make sure that that their appearance and all that, is sufficient enough to get them by.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like me, it wasn't until I seen the third one that I realized what the difference was. And for the life of me, I wasn't sure that I was seeing what I thought I was seeing until I walked right up on him. A vampire's skin is luminous. It shines. Their skin tone is so close to ours that it almost matches, but it doesn't, because it's like on a phone screen. You see the smudge?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you wipe it off and clear it off, the smudges are gone. That's what their skin is. Their skin is so close to ours, you have to really look to see the shine of their skin. And I don't know why their skin shines. I haven't got close enough to one.
Tim, by the way, it is 4:20, just to let you know.
Oh! Holla!
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright, sorry to cut you off, Tim. I do want to get a couple of hell yeahs from you, because that's kind of your coined catchphrase, so...
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
And then, we need to cut this, we need to kind of start wrapping it up, because we don't have a ton of time left.
Okay. So, just to re-wrap what we've gone over vampires in Quincy. They're a real thing. Dangerous.
Yep, watch out for them.
Yeah, Tim has seen them.
Don't go down Main Street at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't. But you can do it early in the morning as long as you're in your car and look at the joggers.
Right.
So check out for the joggers.
Yeah.
You won't see their breath, you said?
They don't.
They don't breathe? So if you see joggers and they're not breathing...
You won't see vapors coming out their mouth. You'll see them jogging.
This is during the winter when it's cold.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right.
They simulate, and I still haven't figured out why they do it. I haven't. Why
Maybe they don't know they're doing it.
No, why they pretend to jog. I mean, like it means a damn thing to them.
Maybe they still need to exercise. I mean, I get they're vampire, but they still want to stay in shape. That could be it. Don't you think?
Maybe. Do you think it could be to them that's a normal thing? Because, I mean, there is some people that go on early runs. I mean, I know from my personal experience during the summers, if I'm trying to stay in shape, I'll go on runs early in the morning. Do you think that could be their thing to try and blend in?
It could be, but...
Because there's got to be some activity outside of those houses on Main Street.
Yeah, or else like you said,
more people will start realizing this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they don't, but they just... I mean, it's just like
weird.
all the mansions in Quincy.
It's just weird, isn't it?
Right. I mean, you got to figure there's a third of this town that are occupied with $1 million homes.
Yeah.
Where do these people work? Well, they say, well, they commute to St. Louis or Chicago. Oh yeah, 1/3 of this city commutes daily. Bullshit.
That's true.
I've been up at that train station. I don't know, 25, 30 people get on that thing and head to Chicago every day. Who knows what business, okay, 25 or 30. Okay, so where does the other 3,000 fit in? Where are they working? Because believe me, if you're going to live in a $1 million house in Quincy, one, you got to be a millionaire because the property taxes for those houses through there is off the hook.
Oh, I'm sure. But we can continue this conversation. I'm sure we're going to have you as a guest on this podcast more than just this one time.
I'll be back.
Yeah, he
I'll
will.
be back.
So,
But we need to wrap it up today.
I say for just to get the final, just end it all, what we've gone over so we can remember. We've gone over some vampires. Probably delve into that some more next time. Sure, we got more.
Crosses do work against them.
Yep. We got
All right.
time traveling. We've
See, a
got
little bit of Desert Storm in there.
a little bit of Desert Storm, why the time traveling's happening.
A little bit of World War II.
A little bit of World War II.
And that's going to be a wrap for today.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Hello!
Later, guys.